and welcome to the Honest Football Coach podcast with me, Dan Steele. As you can see, I have another brilliant guest with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Al Yates. Welcome, my friend. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a nice long week, as all football coaches know. Looking forward to the football. Looking forward to the podcast.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing your experiences and expertise in the subject, which seems to, I'll be honest with you, have multiple different opinions from loads of different people, so it should be good. So, first things first, Al, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your background, please?
Yeah, of course. I've got a 16-year-old son, played football, and a 21-year-old almost daughter that is madly into football but never played. I'm a retired youth football coach. I've got an active interest in League One Exeter City from a Exeter City Supporters Trust perspective. I'm one of the people that got that going. But I would say from a youth football perspective, I've been a coach in multiple places, which the story later will explain. And my son has played at 3 clubs.
Beautiful,
So
good stuff.
that's my background.
Beautiful. Does your son still carry on playing? Has he gone into adult football?
He's not carried on playing. Actually, he stopped playing through his choice at 13 because he fell out of love with playing youth football. And that's a combination of things. But more importantly, it's probably because he probably enjoyed going to watch football a lot more. For example, he's done 65 grounds already.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, following our football club. I just think it was a combination of things for him. So no, he's not in a youth football setup now.
Okay. Do you tend to find, and I'm just speaking off the top of my head here, so at 13, is that a pivotal point in a youth footballer's path? Is that when things start changing in their mindset, do you think? Because I know we talk about, I've spoken to other coaches about adult football, or, when you're running under 16s, under 17s, and obviously other hobbies and interests, which I'll delve into, but start to become apparent. Football takes a back burner. I know coaches really struggle at that age, but is 13 young to finish? Or?
I think it was a little bit young to finish. He probably regrets it slightly, but there was a combination of things because he was part of the COVID generation. He played football, and I was an accidental coach, I should say. And I'm football mad, but I knew that my work was busy, but also I had a penchant for watching my football team as well. But I became a coach at 8 when he was 8 years old. And was his coach in one form until 11/12. Then he, because my work was crazy, and there's a lot of coaches out there where their work's crazy, and mine was particularly crazy. So I chatted to him, and he had an opportunity to go to a National League North academy, which fitted what he wanted to do. He was there for a couple of years, a year, and then COVID hit, which disrupted everybody, as we all know. And then he decided that he wanted to go to another team because he wasn't happy with how it was almost a conveyor belt, I think. And he ended up going to another team where I became an accidental coach because I actually said to the coach, look, I'm not going to get in your way. I will help you. I've got no interest in being a full-time coach. But I fell into it because at the end of the season, he announced that he was moving out of the area.
Really?
So there were a squad of 15 players
Hmm.
at that point, with nobody to coach them.
Yep.
So, what do you do at that point when you are a trained coach and your lad wants to play football?
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny you say that because obviously we've spoke to each other off camera before we started, and I mentioned I've started from the soccer school with Bradwell FC in Stoke-on-Trent. There was too many players. There was too many players at the time for one team, so they had to make two. And this poor guy, I can see him now. This poor guy, a friend of mine, Lee, was walking across the football pitch. Just happened to be there at the right time, and I said, "Lee, come here. I've got something for you. These kids here now are yours. You're coaching them." So I completely understand how you can be accidentally in the wrong place or right place, depending on how you look at it at the right time.
But I say accidental. I got so much enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is time consuming, and I had a couple of girls on my team as well,
Okay.
and one of them went to 16, her prom night, a prom on summer. I hadn't seen her for a couple of years. She came over and said, "All right, coach, how are you?"
Wow.
Yeah, lovely.
It
You
is.
know.
I've not really. My kids are under tens at the minute, so I still feel like I'm putting fires out a lot of the time. There's a lot of personalities kind of trying to compete with each other a little bit. But I had a comment off somebody once, and I didn't really know what to do with this. I'll be honest with you. A parent came to me. She was a single parent at the time, and she says her child's name. He sees you as a bit of a father figure, and it took me back a little bit because I wasn't expecting that. I was just running my son's football team because that's how I fell into football. So obviously
Yeah.
you have an effect on these young minds, don't you? Of course you do.
And yeah, I mean, it's every coach has got a story, and also with the safeguarding stuff, sometimes put in really difficult situations
Oh,
by parents.
yeah,
Then you've got the parents that might not like that the team that haven't won, and it
yeah,
might not be down to the coach. It might just be circumstance. It might be, the particular squad. It might be the actual demands of the parent, or parents, should I say. And like you, I had a lad in my team who's from a disrupted family, shall we
yeah.
say. Um, one family member in prison,
Right, okay.
and had interesting characteristics. But when he was on a football pitch, he was happy,
Yeah.
you know.
So how's
And
his piece of
and
place, mate?
I had another one with certain medical issues that the parents had told me about, uh, which I monitored
Yeah,
and was ready for. And and I also had another one where once parents, because you get friendly with the parents, don't
yeah, of
you, as
course.
well? And
Yeah,
the kids build up relationships. And if you're a single coach, I think it's incredibly difficult. And I've got quite strong views on that.
yeah.
There should always be assistants now.
Okay.
And I was in a situation once where I finished a session. You're making sure everybody goes home safely.
Yeah, of course.
I've got a lad that I know, a social with my lad. His parents, for circumstance I won't go into,
Hmm.
were late. Right? What do you do?
What can you do?
Call up the parent.
Yeah,
Yeah, call up
it's
the
quite
parent.
it's quite an interesting subject actually because it's. I often think and I often wonder whether when I had every intention of coaching my son's football team. I mean, I'm similar to yourself, football mad, Stoke City season ticket holder, and all that jazz. And when my son started to show an interest in football, I knew I was going to run his team. He didn't, bless him, but I did. Um, I often wonder whether or not, even though I did the level one FA coaching course, as they called it, I think it was a weekend or a couple of weekends, was I ever qualified to deal with the things that perhaps they don't warn you about almost. So little things like you're left alone with a group. Your responsibility as a coach is really quite high. And it's not just football, I don't believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and also it becomes all consuming.
Hmm.
Um, and I remember the second time I became an accidental coach, shall we say.
Yeah,
I say accidental coach. I loved being a
yeah,
coach. I really enjoyed it, got so much out of it. But the second time, my wife was like, "Are you sure you really want to do this?"
yeah,
And I'm like, "Well, have I got much choice?" You know? And it's like, well, you're going to get an assistant, aren't you? Which I did. But yeah, I think that if I was really honest, I probably wouldn't have volunteered to be a coach. I'm not a teacher.
hmm,
Yeah, in that sort of way. I
yeah,
know football tactics. I know how to play football. And I wasn't prepared for many things. And I don't. I think most coaches would say, if you look at the grassroots forums, there's a lot of people asking the same questions.
yeah,
Am I a bad coach? We've lost 4 games. Should I worry? What do I do in this situation? And it's like,
yeah,
well, if you've volunteered, you've got something about you, you know, and if somebody doesn't like it, they need to volunteer and step forward and help you. And if you are in a situation where I've commuted from Stoke to where I live, and I'm deliberately not saying too much about where I live.
absolutely.
Uh, um, and I've got out of the car. I haven't put any training gear on. I've just put a set of trainers on. I've hoiked out the bag from the boot of the car and walked onto a training pitch in a suit.
Yeah,
And it's like I'm going to be Jose Mourinho today.
yeah, yeah,
And but not only that, you're prioritizing your work, you're prioritizing team plans, all
hmm.
that. And if you want to do it properly and put the love into it, you do it, don't you?
No, absolutely. And I think you're really right in what you say about it being all consuming because my football coaching, I'm very lucky because I've got a very, very good assistant, very knowledgeable, sort of very calming personality. So when I come up with these crazy ideas, he'll run with them, but he'll also tell me when they are a bit too crazy. But I've also got a family around me as well. So my wife, Sarah, will come to all of the games and she'll watch Harry, my son. Um, and she knows when I'm not feeling 100% about something. And it might not just be the game or the result, because ultimately, that at this level, as we are told, again, there's another subject there, but we're told that doesn't matter. But it's the things that go with it as well. It's the pressures of pleasing other people, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. And there's things that I've learned, and I've got views on, like, I got my lad to play when he wasn't feeling very well.
Yeah,
The next day comes out with tonsillitis, and it's like,
I've done
we're
it.
short of
Yeah,
players. Come on, son, step up.
yeah,
Yeah, and you look back at those sort of things, and I'm a great believer that coaches, kids grow up tough
yeah,
because they have to,
yeah,
and
yeah,
actually,
definitely.
I think a lot of parents forget that when they've come and had their little moan, and normally the child is there,
Yeah,
you know, and when one at the point where I stopped being a coach was actually when my son got in the car. We'd done a game in the morning. We were going to see Exeter City play at Swindon away. He got in the car. We were late, as in we were pushing it to get there.
yeah,
And he just turned around and said, "Dad, I didn't enjoy today." He said, "And you haven't been enjoying this for a couple of weeks now." He said, "Do you really want to do this? Or do we really want to do this? Or shall we just go and watch football and be a family?"
yeah. Wow.
And yeah, and that, kids are powerful. And I ended up saying, "Well, you don't want to play anymore." And he was like, "No, not really."
Mm,
I'm like, "Okay." I said, we've got to give proper notice to people,
yeah,
right? We're not just going to drop it, right? And there was that whole process of
yeah, of course.
helping the team. You want it to survive anyway. You've bought the kits, you've
Yeah,
got it
yeah, yeah.
sponsored. You don't want it.
100%.
Nobody wants that,
Yeah.
But I think some of these kids can be quite brave.
Hmm.
And I've seen sort of like even girls coming into the game. And I remember one particularly wet day. a the girl, one of the girls in the team she was just like lapping it up, mentally tough,
Yeah.
right? Cheerfulness, right? And in you know what I mean. That I'm quite
Yeah.
happy for girls to compete quite
Yeah.
same age level. I know there's the physicality and all that stuff, um, but yeah, people never always surprise you. I think
Yeah.
so.
Definitely. Definitely. And it was quite nice to listen to you talk about obviously coaching your own son, because I'm obviously doing the same thing. And it's a cheeky little plug to the previous episode, I suppose. But in that episode, I actually talked to my son about coaching and what it's like to be the coach's son. And I think I knew what he was going to say to me. The questions were probably leading to get some content for the podcast, but it was never scripted. It was all his words. But when he said back to me what I thought he was going to say, that landed differently. It landed differently when he said things like, when a player makes a mistake, you kind of brush it off as a positive. Don't worry, it'll happen next time. When I make a mistake,
Yeah, mistakes
you're
happen.
on me. So it's kind of
Oh,
food for thought. It was, wow, it's one of them. It's he's trying his best. He's playing football, but for some reason, being the coach's son gives us a ticket to say not what we want in a nasty way, but I can lean on him a little bit more, I think.
yeah, and but there's also the other side of it. I mean, with my lad, he is very young at age, and I've got
Mm-hmm.
views in terms of developmentally about physique and young at
Yeah,
age, especially in the younger years.
yeah,
And I'm a great believer that you should let kids play that are of the same build, because
yeah,
as growth happens, you know what I mean. You see some lad and you go, "Wow,
yeah,
he's 5'5".
yeah.
Playing a
Beards
lad
now.
at 14. Yeah, and my lad was very young in the end, probably being a outside of coaching, being a pushy parent when he was
Yeah,
a toddler. Everybody dreams that they want their kid to play football,
yeah,
but you mustn't, as we know, let your dreams let them be forced into a dream. And I've actually been in that situation where I had a lad in a team and he wasn't interested at all. And
yeah.
there was one day, and his dad was a season sick. Sorry, not a season ago. He was really into a Premier League team and travelled
Mm-hmm.
in Europe and stuff. And he wanted his son to play. And I just said to him, I said, "Do you really want to play football? Or are you doing it because Dad wants you to play football?" And he just like looked at me and said, "I don't like playing football." Uh,
Yeah,
there's those things going on, and then the physical thing, watching younger players struggle against physicality. I
yeah.
think that's sometimes not great, and
No.
that difficult age, I think between 9 and 11, right? It's like surely just we did futsal and all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah, yeah,
right? We try and develop and stuff, but you're like, especially in the winter. But it just sometimes you're watching your kid and you just want to drag them out of it.
yeah.
But as a
Yeah.
coach, you don't. You've just got to let them deal with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, I mean, a question just sort of popped up in my mind because I've not really experienced that yet, and maybe I will in the future. But if you do come across a player that says, "I really don't want to be here," it's because of external factors. Maybe your parents want to push you into it. How do you deal with that? Do you approach the parents? Do you let it slide? Do you try and I don't know. I don't know what the options are.
Yeah, I think you have to be honest to the individual, and like
Mm-hmm.
kids know their own minds. I mean, we to a point, and I went okay, and I ended up just having it was a tricky one, shall we say? I'll
Yeah,
explain why, because people know what I'm talking about. But I ended up, I think, talking to the mother
yeah,
and just saying, "Look, I don't think he's feeling it. Do you
mm-hmm.
just want to check that this is what he wants to do?" Because I think there's a huge commitment, youth football. And we know it, the players travel around. We've all been in the motorway services where I saw Sunderland and Watford Gap, the under
Yeah,
14, 15s or something, right? And they're on their way to Fulham to play an
Mhm.
academy game on a dull midweek night,
Yeah.
and those pressures are there, and it's just like, do they really want to play? If they want
Yeah.
to play, they want to play, but never force a child to do what they don't want to do,
No.
you know?
You're
And how
almost.
many actually, how many get through, you know?